What's up, guys? Welcome back to Nick and Cameron YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at my friend's 1997 Honda Civic Del Sol SI, and we're going to get in and drive it right away. What's up, guys? We're in my friend's Civic SI. We just showed it in the intro here. This is a 1997 Honda Civic Del Sol SI. As you guys can see, there's a problem here. It's an automatic, which kind of takes away from some of the engagement and excitement of a vehicle like this. But I'm going to get into the driving impressions here in a bit. I'm on a straight bit of road here, but we'll get into the curvy bit in a second. But for now, I'm going to show you guys the acceleration. So right now we're cruising at a little under 55, so I guess I'll floor it here. And there we hit VTEC. Big kick down, and then I don't know exactly when VTEC engages on this guy. This is the single cam motor, by the way. I'll talk about the motor specifics later, but this thing has under 120 horsepower, but weighs like 2,400 pounds. So we'll get up to a curvy bit, and I'll talk about handling in just a second. We're back here in the little of this back road here in the Del Sol. It feels extremely planted as far as handling impressions. It's very stable, very little body roll. That was a pretty big high-speed corner, going about 50 miles an hour, and it was like flat. So pretty cool. This car is completely bone stock, by the way, no mods. Only mod would be that it has this Bluetooth head unit installed by a previous owner. And my friend has had this for about 2 months, and he really likes it. I'm going to take a left up here, slow down a bit, and we'll hit a little curvy bit. And in just a minute, we will be taking the top off of this guy and showing you guys what the Del Sol is really about here. Give it a little rev here. Sounds pretty good, actually. This is not an OEM muffler, but this is like a stock replacement, I guess you could call it, basically. Top's still on, and I'm going to roll down the back window, show the back window real quick. Pretty cool. Steering feel is excellent. A little noise, something like a fender liner rubbing, but steering feel, I love how precise it is. Not a ton of input, pretty quick rack. Steering wheel is thin. This is the stock steering wheel. I like it. Overall, the car feels super light. I mean, it like glides through a corner. It'll cut through a corner. It's not like the ride is particularly stiff, but it definitely, you feel the bumps in the road. It doesn't bounce. None of the shocks are blown or anything. But this is definitely a very fun car to ride and drive, and way better with the top down. Very fun with this rear window. Great rear visibility. So we'll cut with the top down next, and that's what you guys will see next. So I'm going to take a left off the road here and see if there's a place to turn around. Okay, guys, we're at a stop sign, and I'm just going to show you guys 0 to probably 50 miles an hour here. Pretty loud with that back window open. Without the manual, you can't really floor it very good. That's 6K. It's pretty fun. That was 60 miles an hour, actually. Definitely not like hauling ass, but definitely quick enough. You know, this is not like driving a sluggish car just because of how light it is. So we'll have the top down in the next segment here. Actually, let's show this hill here. We're going to come down this windy hill. Be careful. Brakes are pretty good, actually. Pedal feel is pretty mushy on the brake. Like not that they feel like they aren't hitting the brakes, but it's pretty long travel. And then pedal feel for the gas pedal is like hard. It kind of feels like you're like trying to smash I don't know, like a can or something below your foot. It's pretty stiff pedal feel. We're not like hooning it super hard here, but because I don't want to get a ticket. But we're gonna turn off, and we'll take the top off, and you'll see it without the top on in just a minute. Okay guys, we got the roof up as you guys can see. Got the back window down. It's a little buffety in here. We got the windows up still. I'll show you what it's like with the windows down in a minute, but we're coming back up the same way that we just were with the top up. And it's pretty fun. Sun's coming out. Big thing is, even though this thing is a convertible, or target top really, a lot of cars like this kind of have a short windscreen, and when you're tall, your head kind of pokes off the top. And thankfully, this car, I'm 6'2", and I actually fit in this tiny car totally fine. Cameron has a ton of leg room, as you guys can see, and even when I sit in that seat, in the passenger seat, I have a ton of leg room. So the size is pretty good, and man, the top down is just, I don't know, there's something about it. It's just fun. It's gonna be horrible audio, but yeah. Driving with the top down, I mean, this is what this thing is all about. It's fun with the top up. It's still super small, and chassis-wise, like, you don't feel like flexing the corners a ton. I think the chassis is pretty stiff for being a convertible, and I think that's because the wheelbase is so short. This thing, it's not square, but it's pretty narrow and also very short. So this is like the smallest car I've ever driven. It's pretty fun, and I guess we'll just show a little bit of road driving. Just show the road, I guess. And Cameron is going to take it for a drive. I don't know if he'll film that, but we'll be back to go over the entire car back at my house in a bit. Buffety. As you guys can see, my hair is kind of going crazy. We're about 55 miles an hour right now. It's really not too loud. You can actually talk. If Cameron was going to talk, I'd probably hear him totally fine. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this on camera or not. Coming up to a little corner here. It just dives. It's darty. It's not darty like it wants to move by itself, but it's just so easy to place because it's so narrow. The road, even on a narrow back road like this, is wide enough that you can move it within the lane. So it's pretty cool. Okay guys, we're back here at the driveway, and we're going to go over the features of the car and give you a quick walk around and talk about everything that's kind of interesting about this car. You guys saw the driving portion, hopefully you enjoyed that. And first we'll start under the hood and talk about the power plant of this Civic. So we'll pop it here. Pops pretty basic, like every other car. There's a little latch under there. You can find it. There we go. And as you guys can see, this is the mighty power plant here. Where's the hood prop? And you get this guy. Wait, is that one there? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So this is a D16 Y8, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This is a 97 Honda Civic Del Sol SI motor. It's warm right now, so I don't want to touch it. But this is the single cam. I read this online. This is a single cam 16 valve motor. This, I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked under there. I'm not a Honda expert. But this is a 1.6 liter. This is a D16, by the way. So there's the B16, which has the twin cam head, and that comes on the VTEC. Show the engine camera. And so this is the single cam motor. This makes 127 horsepower at 6,600 RPM. Redline is just over 7,000, and it makes 107 foot-pounds of torque at 5,500 RPM. So Not super torquey. You don't have a lot of download torque. It makes peak torque at 5,500 RPM. That's pretty high. Obviously, there's no turbo on here. This is a naturally aspirated motor. But under the engine bay, or under the hood here, you guys can see the radiator is like tiny. You can see that really this is a lot of space here, a ton of space here. So this is pretty popular for people who like turbo these, because you can get a better exhaust manifold, put the turbo right here, and do a whole different intake setup with better throttle body and everything, and intake manifold. But everything here is set up. This is completely stock car, other than we showed you guys that Bluetooth head unit here. And then this is something that was hooked up at some point. It's like a LED, I don't know what it says, something. So there were like LED lights or something wired into the inside of the car by a previous owner. They don't work anymore. I don't know what it is with that. So the wiring is a little bit played with, but overall this motor specifically has a pretty bad oil leak, as you guys can see on the case. You guys can't see that. It kind of sweats a lot of oil. It doesn't really drip, which is kind of odd. But overall, the mileage is totally unknown, except for this indication here. It looks like that means timing belt, and then 242,000 miles. That was almost 4 years. That's like 3.5 years ago. The odometer says something like 142, or much lower value. So the odometer on this car, I believe, has been rolled back, or the gate or the cluster was replaced at some point. But yeah, that's what's under the hood of the Del Sol SI, and you kind of have to let it drop. It's pretty stiff, but we'll give you guys a quick walk around. As you guys can see the front of the car. The VTEC one, the higher, I guess you could say, trim of the one with the B16 has the fog lights in the bumper. This one is the SI bumper. Paint is pretty faded on this example specifically. These are the stock wheels. Wheels need refinished, but this, as you guys can see, is the back. This is kind of the different part about the Del Sol from the other Civics here. You can see you got like this vertical rear window and this flat top trunk. And I'll show you guys what the trunk is for here. It's actually for storage for the top. There's a rack in there that you can take the top off, and we'll show you guys how to take the top off real quick. And I'll show you guys in the trunk. As you guys can see, here's this rack here, and it's actually a pretty deep trunk. There's a lot of space in here. And that's mostly because this car only has 2 seats, which kind of limits its practicality, but makes it a lot more fun, I guess you could say. And with the top, so we'll cut to us taking the top off real quick. Okay guys, we're gonna take the top off real quick, show you how. So come in here, and I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but this is kind of the latch part right here. And there's a little, I don't know if you guys can see that, but let me try to show you. Right here, you see that little latch here, and then this is the handle. So I'll show you guys. And pull the little latch, and then you just twist the handle out, and then it's free. Okay, when you do it. And then the top is super light. You just take it over. You can do this as one person, but it's a little more labor intensive. And it locks in there, and then you actually just pull these, and they lock in place. And now this thing is solid. And then so you can, I don't know how this, or yeah. So you could have stuff under there. There's still lots of space, but you just can't get it out with the top down. And I guess we'll just do the rest of the review with the top off, because that's more interesting. So, show the interior next. Okay guys, this is the interior of my friend's SI here. Kind of interesting is the seats. You have this cool red stripe. Not all of them were like this. Some of them is like a all pattern, and then it's the center stripe is like pattern 2. And I think you could get like a black stripe or something. There were a different color stripe, I think, for certain ones, but pretty cool seats. They're actually pretty sporty. They got pretty decent side bolters. He's patched his has a tear here. But as you guys can see, the interior is pretty clean, simple, probably like any other Honda Civic of this era. Steering wheel, we said it was stock. It doesn't track straight, so it's like this, even when it's straight. This car isn't perfect. I think this interior bit is kind of loose. This whole tray, it's pretty nice to have that though. Oh, and now it is messing with the e-brake boot. We'll fix that later. Hand me the camera, Cameron. And we'll show you guys this gauge cluster. It's pretty neat. Revs up to over 7,000 RPM. A little picture of the Del Sol on the gauge cluster. I think that's pretty cool. And that's the clock right here. As you get, this is the odometer is 167, and this thing I think is well over that. Fuel gauge, temp gauge, pretty simple gauges. You have your rear defrost that works for that vertical window, and then these are your flashers here, your emergency lights, and then there is actually a cruise control button right here, and I don't think this one does anything. This is this hard button. You've got climate control vents here in the middle, 4 total, and then you of course have this automatic shifter, which most of these cars you will find in manual. My friend got this one an automatic. It was a bit cheaper, quite a bit cheaper. And we showed you the head unit already, but that's where the stock radio usually lives as well. And this one just has an aftermarket one. And as far as the shifter, it's actually pretty smooth. It's a basic automatic shifter. I actually kind of like the feel. Clicks into all these different modes very easily. Steering wheel, you've got horn buttons here on either side, and then you have some cruise controls here, and then you have the climate control, which is super simple, works well. Overall, the interior, it's all this kind of plastic, it's like a foam backed, like it's pretty soft, like rubbery. I don't know if this is vinyl. It kind of seems like vinyl, but not. You've got this center console here. I'll show you guys the door cards as well. This one is coming off a bit, and then this one has been patched right here. It's all torn up. But you have the rear window control right here. These are your 2 side windows. The other side has the passenger window as well. You've got an electronic central locking button, and you actually have electronic mirrors, which is pretty cool in a car like this. That you have electrically adjustable mirrors. You've got 2 speakers on the sound system, and then 2 in the back corners here, so 4 speakers total. And then in the back, I'll show you guys, this car does have storage, 2 storage. So that's where like a bunch of the weird wiring and stuff lives that the previous owner messed with. This is my friend's steering wheel lock. Civics get stolen, so that's why he has that. There's another storage. This is actually a lock, so you can actually lock these 2 rear compartments, because this car doesn't have a locking glove box. So you can lock these back here, and you can keep your important stuff back there if you want to. Pretty cool. But there's another storage compartment back here. I'm not going to show that though. And then you have this little basic, this is actually where your cup holders are. Don't know how to get this down. I think you just pull it, oh, there you go, not bad. And there's like candy in there from my friend, but you can put cups here. Kind of an odd spot. This is kind of where your elbow lands, but pretty cool little center console setup. And we'll move on over to the glove box real quick. I'll show you guys. The seats are adjustable pretty good. They slide back and forth, and the seat backs go forward and back, but obviously there's no back seats. And then the glove box, pretty basic, pretty small though. And here's the footwell. I think these are stock carpets. I'm not sure. That one is reddish for some reason, but pretty cool. The interior is pretty clean. Oh yeah, one weird quirk with the top like this. You'd think this is the normal sun visor, so I think this is like the size of the normal sun visor in a Civic. But with the Del Sol, only this little part comes down, so this is kind of useless. It's tiny, but it's pretty funny how that works. So that's the interior, and I guess we'll just I'll do a final overview of it real quick. Okay, so as far as like why you'd buy this car, well, because it's cheap and it's also very fun. These things can be had for these SI models. Automatic ones you can find for like $3 grand. My friend found his just for about $3 grand, and it came in this condition. He did have to get the exhaust fixed because the muffler fell off and the exhaust was all rotted out. But these things are definitely very fun. We talked about in the driving impressions bit there that these things handle very well. Super lightweight. Curb weight is like 2,400 pounds with like nobody in it. So it's a super lightweight car, and this thing is probably the cheapest fun car you could buy today. You can find manual versions for like a little over $4,000. They are definitely harder to find than coupes and hatches and sedan Civics. So, but this is kind of the unique one, and some people really like these cars. Some people really don't. It's kind of like either love it or you hate it. But I think this is probably one of the cheapest like fun cars you could buy today. So. Let us know if you guys have ever driven a Del Sol or owned one or whatever, what you guys' thoughts are on this. And please like and subscribe, and check out our other car reviews and any of our other videos on the channel.